Jeffrey and Peter, let's talk a little bit about this resolution that the president sends up to the Congress, looking for a unified front.
Clarity
on
all
the
over
fight
again.
on terror.
Tremendous levels of clarity.
Like the Supreme Court 2 years ago.
Am I wrong? Yeah. Am I wrong in thinking this whole thing might just blow up in his face and leave us looking more ununified than ever on what to do about this?
He set up a very interesting resolution. Now, very few presidents have ever proposed to restrain their own power, but he set up a resolution that says, you, the Congress, will give me the power to do what I'm already doing and have done for 6 months, but there will be a 3-year time limit, and then we will rule out what he calls enduring ground combat operations. Now, in some ways, that is a restriction. No president, Lyndon Johnson didn't send up a Gulf of Tonkin resolution with the 3-year time limit. Having said that, he was leaving in place a 2001 authorization for force that still allows him to do pretty much anything, or his successor, what he wants to do. So Congress is kind of in the middle. Democrats saying, wait, this is way too permissive. You can still do anything you want. Republicans saying, wait, this is way too, restrained. You're not really fighting this war. And you don't have a consensus at this point.
You have this very bizarre situation in which you have some Republicans who complain, as a matter of course, that the president should seek their approval for taking military action, complaining that the president isn't seeking enough approval for enough military action. And you also have a situation in which this is akin in a way to the administration asking Congress to give it the power to collect taxes. It's collecting taxes. It already does. And so the administration wants kind of a theoretical debate in Congress in real time. We're already fighting ISIS on multiple fronts, and you have this bizarre, really bizarre debate on something that's already happening as if it's not happening.
I don't think it's theoretical what the administration wants. I think what they want is to be able to say they have partners, is to not be kind of hanging out there by themselves.
Political cover.
I don't think it's just political cover. I think it's exactly what you described. You're getting it from every side. People say, you haven't asked us, and so now we're asking. That's what you said you wanted. Yeah, we're doing it, but we're saying, it's going to be limited. People don't want us out there forever. I think it's a way of, even if it doesn't show unity, it's a way of kind of spreading this around.
The president could conceivably come out of this saying, look, I'm the executive. I'm dealing with this problem while these people in Congress are arguing among themselves about these fine points of principle. So he could come out looking rather decisive, I think.
Here's the part that bothers me, and I will preface this by saying I certainly do not want to see the President of the United States put on a military uniform. No President of the United States has ever put on a military uniform, and there's a reason for that, and we all want to keep it that way as far as I know. But after that Jordanian pilot was killed in that horrible way, here you saw the king put on his fatigues. He executes 2 prisoners that they were holding in Jordan and launched bombing raids. We have another American hostage killed. And Congress and the president goes off to California to do a fundraiser and some other stuff, and the Congress goes on vacation, and they say, yeah, we'll debate what to do about all this, but we're going to do it as long as it fits into the schedule. There's no reason to do anything out of the ordinary.
Look, I think
previous.
Oh no.
I'm sure I'm overstating.
No,
yes,
just
but
a little. No.
Well, the king of Jordan is the leader of a country named after his family, so it's a little bit of a different situation. Yeah.
Previous presidents have sent up authorizations of force in the weeks before they intended to use it. I mean, what's happening here is sort of a theoretical, political. It's important, but it's not going to change what's happening on the ground. The president's already made clear whether they pass or not, he's going to continue doing the exact same thing.
This is political cover, though. I mean, it reminds me of the Syria thing of a few years ago. The president said, don't cross my red line, and then Bashar Assad did, and then the president said, okay, you Congress, tell me if I can do anything about it, because he didn't want to act on his own. He wanted them to have to take responsibility as well for what happened. And, the Republicans, if they wanted to be smart here, what they ought to do is just call his bluff and not take this up at all. I mean, he's already operating under a authorization that he claims gives him all the authority.
But that would make them look. That would make them look a little bit feckless.
Right. So
that makes them look totally feckless.
So
like, I'm not going to engage in that.
So that's why they are
cover.
taking it up. That's why they are taking it up. Except for I think what their goal is going to be in the end is to use it as a debate to try to force the president to actually elucidate a strategy.
But
what is
what
the strategy?
does this do to how we're perceived? outside of the
I'm not
United
sure
States.
that we can that this is going to affect how we're perceived, in the sense that we are who we are. We are a nation that has the rule of law. I think that there are a lot of people who perceive us badly for not following the rule of law in previous engagements. So to the extent that there is a debate and a discussion, will be revealed. And I think that that's not going to affect our view outside the country. What it is going to do is going to force us in the country to call the question that you've been asking. These terrible things are happening. Do we want to do this, or do we not want to do this?
Something we always forget, because we're sitting here, is that in the greater Middle East, people understand what Obama is doing. He's killing terrorists in 8 or 10 different locations right now as we speak, and we often sort of lose sight of that fact, in part because of the way he's so hesitant to talk about it in grand terms, and because of these debates in Congress. But he's been killing terrorists for years now, and he's doing it whether or not Congress lets him do it.
He's been criticized for it because of the drone strikes and so forth. So even when he does it, he gets criticized for it. So I think that's part of the reason.
What's interesting, what this is less about a legal restriction on the president than a political statement of intent. This is how I perceive this war to be. It will be restrained, it will not be on the ground, and he's trying to set the parameters in effect for his successor, right? A 3-year time limit, which the next president could ignore. But a 3-year time limit means that the next president is going to have to at least address the question 1 year in to his or her presidency, and that's an interesting.
All right, we have to wrap her up right there. Thank you all. This was a lot of very interesting for me, and I hope it was for others. I'm sure it was. And we'll be back to talk a little bit about CBS Newsman Bob Stein.